Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Volume 2, Book 23, number 359. Narrated by Ibn Umar. When Abdullah bin Ubay, the chief of hypocrites, died, his son came to the Prophet and said, "O Allah's Apostle, please give me your shirt to shroud him in it, offer his funeral prayer and ask for Allah's forgiveness for him." So Allah's Apostle, P.B.U.H., gave his shirt to him and said, "Inform me when the funeral is ready, so that I may offer the funeral prayer." So he informed him, and when the Prophet intended to offer the funeral prayer, Umar took hold of his hand and said, "Has Allah not forbidden you to offer the funeral prayer for the hypocrites?" The Prophet said, "I have been given the choice, for Allah says, 'It does not avail, whether you, O Muhammad, ask forgiveness for them, hypocrites, or do not ask for forgiveness for them. Even though you ask for their forgiveness 70 times, Allah will not forgive them.'" 9.80. So the Prophet offered the funeral prayer, and on that the revelation came, "And never, O Muhammad, pray funeral prayer for any of them, i.e. hypocrites, that dies." 9.84. Volume 2, Book 23, number 360. Narrated by Jabir. The Prophet came to the grave of Abdullah bin Ubay after his body was buried. The body was brought out, and then the Prophet put his saliva over the body and clothed it in his shirt. Volume 2, Book 23, number 361. Narrated by Aisha. The Prophet was shrouded in 3 pieces of cloth which were made of suhul, a type of cotton, and neither a shirt nor a turban were used. Volume 2, Book 23, number 362. Narrated by Aisha. Allah's Apostle was shrouded in 3 pieces of cloth, and neither a shirt nor a turban were used. Volume 2, Book 23, number 363. Narrated by Aisha. Allah's Apostle was shrouded in 3 pieces of cloth which were made of white suhul, and neither a shirt nor a turban were used. Volume 2, Book 23, number 364. Narrated by Sa'd from his father. Once the meal of Abdurrahman bin Auf was brought in front of him, and he said, "Mustab bin Umar was martyred, and he was better than I, and he had nothing except his bird, a black square narrow dress, to be shrouded in. Hamza or another person was martyred, and he was also better than I, and he had nothing to be shrouded in except his bird. No doubt, I fear that the rewards of my deeds might have been given early in this world." Then he started weeping. Volume 2, Book 23, number 365. Narrated by Ibrahim. Once a meal was brought to Abdurrahman bin Auf, and he was fasting. He said, "Mustab bin Umar was martyred, and he was better than I, and was shrouded in his bird, and when his head was covered with it, his legs became bare, and when his legs were covered his head got uncovered. Hamza was martyred and was better than I. Now the worldly wealth have been bestowed upon us," or said a similar thing. "No doubt, I fear that the rewards of my deeds might have been given earlier in this world." Then he started weeping and left his food. Volume 2, Book 23, number 366. Narrated by Kabab. We emigrated with the Prophet, P.B.U.H., in Allah's cause, and so our reward was then surely incumbent on Allah. Some of us died, and they did not take anything from their rewards in this world, and amongst them was Mustab bin Umar, and the others were those who got their rewards. Mustab bin Umar was martyred on the day of the Battle of Uhud, and we could get nothing except his bird to shroud him in. And when we covered his head, his feet became bare, and vice versa. So the Prophet ordered us to cover his head only, and to put idkir, a kind of shrub, over his feet. Volume 2, Book 23, number 367. Narrated by Sahl. A woman brought a woven burda, sheet, having edging, border, to the Prophet. Then Sahl asked them whether they knew what is burda. They said that burda is a cloak, and Sahl confirmed their reply. Then the woman said, I have woven it with my own hands, and I have brought it so that you may wear it. The Prophet accepted it, and at that time he was in need of it. So he came out wearing it as his waist sheet. A man praised it and said, Will you give it to me? How nice it is. The other people said, You have not done the right thing, as the Prophet is in need of it, and you have asked for it when you know that he never turns down anybody's request. The man replied, By Allah, I have not asked for it to wear it but to make it my shroud. Later it was his shroud. Volume 2, Book 23, number 368. Narrated by Aisha. We were forbidden to accompany funeral processions, but not strictly. Volume 2, Book 23, number 369. Narrated by Muhammad bin Sirin. One of the sons of Aisha died, and when it was the third day she asked for a yellow perfume and put it over her body, and said, We were forbidden to mourn for more than 3 days except for our husbands. Volume 2, Book 23, number 370. Narrated by Zainab bint Abi Salama. When the news of the death of Abu Sufyan reached from Sham, Habiba on the third day asked for a yellow perfume and scented her cheeks and forearms and said, No doubt, I would not have been in need of this, had I not heard the Prophet saying, It is not legal for a woman who believes in Allah and the last day to mourn for more than 3 days for any dead person except her husband, for whom she should mourn for 4 months and 10 days. Volume 2, Book 23, number 371. Narrated by Zainab bint Abi Salama. I went to Habiba, the wife of Prophet, who said, I heard the Prophet saying, It is not legal for a woman who believes in Allah and the last day to mourn for any dead person for more than 3 days except for her husband, for whom she should mourn for 4 months and 10 days. Later I went to Zainab bint Jahsh when her brother died. She asked for some scent, and after using it she said, I am not in need of scent, but I heard Allah's apostles saying, It is not legal for a woman who believes in Allah and the last day to mourn for more than 3 days for any dead person except her husband, for whom she should mourn for 4 months and 10 days.